Please be seated. Wow, I'm liking this almost full church. So I'll put to you a question. What is love? Now, think about it for a minute, because I'm not talking the casual kind of love that we offer with, like hot dogs or our new car or puppy or football. Although I know there are a couple of people in here that think that's sacrilege, because football's important, right? But I'm talking about something that goes so much deeper than that. Here we have the story of Joseph and his brothers coming to him, and after what his brothers did to him, Joseph had every right to throw them in a pit and let some caravan take them away, or even demand their lives. But he didn't. Instead, he gave us this incredible line, "Am I in the place of God?" Because the God that we worship is all about love. We insist on trying to make God like us rather than us trying to be like God, so we give God our nature. And we see God as conditional and all of these things when he's not. We are. God, the God that we worship, is pure love. And that's hard to get a grasp of. He's all about love, forgiveness, and compassion. God is merciful. God does not hold things against us. We, on the other hand, we can hold things against other people. We have this thing that I call justified entitlement, right? Where you cut me off with your 30 items in your cart in a 9-item line in the grocery store. Oh, am I mad? And to the guy who cuts me off in traffic, I can give the one-finger salute and a stream of consciousness, dirty words, to show him in the safety of my car how upset I am. Or the kids screaming when you're trying to have a quiet lunch and somebody else's children are running around all over the restaurant. One of my personal favorites. But think about it. God does not judge us by things like that, because if God did, we'd all be in big trouble, right? So we keep trying to put our nature onto God and not allow God to be God, which is all about love. I mean, a level of love that's impossible for us to grasp. But to illustrate a moment of that love, I want to tell you a story. And this is about a love of something else much more important than the self of the person. In 1949, a 15-year-old girl got pregnant. She got pregnant by a much older man, and she wanted to keep the baby. And most do, and especially in those days where you only had a couple of choices. She wanted this child. And she went to her mother, who was not happy she was pregnant. But her mother, a struggling single mom with 10 kids, of which she was one, said, "No, I can't take on one more mouth. I can't take on one more bit of responsibility." She was stretched as thin as she could go. She had nothing left to give. And there were a couple of things this girl could have done. She could have run away and had the baby and kept it. Or she could give it up. Not easy choices, especially when you're 15 years old. In a choice that to me was one of the most amazingly mature choices a person could make, especially at the ripe old age of 15, she chose to do the right thing by this child that she loved. She chose to surrender that child and hope for her a better life than she could provide at that moment. Because she couldn't. And in her heart, she knew that. So she gave up that child. She never got to meet her. They didn't do that in those days. You gave them up, you gave them up. They knocked you out, you had a baby, you woke up, you weren't pregnant anymore. She never thought she'd see that child again. All the records were sealed. But I'm going to tell you, that child stands here in front of you today. And what we would like to call a fluke, but I think is the direct hand of God, through a DNA test I got for Christmas and an email that I got by someone saying, hey, I think you're my cousin. Go figure, 67 years later, right? I not only have a birth mother, I've corresponded with her frequently, have seen her twice, and was able to celebrate her 84th birthday a couple of weeks ago. She worried, never forgot me. You don't forget a child. I mean, no matter what happened, you're not going to forget a child. She thought about me through the years, hoping I was having a good life and wondering if I would be able to forgive her for what she did, as though she had done something wrong. And I think forgiving ourselves is always the hardest thing, don't you think? I grew up and I hit that phase of wondering why I wasn't good enough. This is common for adopted children. Why she couldn't have kept me. And I got through the phase and I didn't think about it anymore. I often wondered what she was like. Would I like her? But I never expected to meet her, especially as I got on up in age. When we met, it was an amazing moment. And God was so powerfully in that room. And one of the things she said to me almost immediately is I didn't have a choice. I did the best I could do. And I know in her heart she was wondering, could I forgive her? What I could say to her through the grace of God was, there is nothing to forgive. You did the best you could do. You made the right decision. I don't know if I'd be standing here in front of you today. If she kept me, I would have had a very different life. But she made the ultimate sacrifice for a child she could not do right by. What is there to forgive? And I'm so blessed to know her. And this little bit of time that we were going to be able to have together is a real gift from God. So there is no forgiveness on my part. There is only respect and honor for the sacrifice she made for me. She went on to have other children. I've gotten to meet a couple of them. I had sisters I never knew I had. But when we think about when Peter says, well, when somebody wrongs me, how many times should I forgive them? 7 times 7. And Jesus says, nah, 70 times 7. Well, that's a lifetime of forgiving somebody. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I can make it to that, however many times that is. But then I think, how many times has God forgiven me? How many times has God forgiven you or will forgive you as you go through life? God is about love and compassion and forgiveness, and if God can forgive us, we can forgive other people. So what I'm trying to do, and am I not good at it? I am trying to do, instead of the justified entitlement in the car and in the grocery line and in the restaurant, I am trying hard when that person does something I don't like, of saying to that person, you are a child of God. Instead of the profanity, instead of the whatever might have come out of my mouth or gestures I might have made, you're a child of God. I'm trying to get to the point where I can learn to say, and I love you. I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm working on it. Because I honestly believe the more we say something, the more we repeat it, it becomes true. So think about it. We 4-letter words, they tell our kids don't use 4-letter words, but some of the most powerful words in our language are 4-letter words. Love, hate. We damn people to hell with a 4-letter word. We can choose our 4-letter word. And we don't have to like people to do it. That's the biggest challenge. Suppose you don't like the person you're talking to and you don't really see them as a child of God. That of Christ in you will respond to them if you allow it. If you let go. So if I look at Pastor Dawn here and I say, Dawn, I love you. I'm getting to know Dawn and she's becoming a friend of mine. So I love her on that level. But right after Dawn and I left, there was an immediate, I love you. Because it was kindred spirits meeting somewhere in there. God has a reason for us to know each other. Gay, I love you. I don't know Gay very well, but that of Christ in me loves that of Christ in this amazing woman sitting here. George, I love you. Now, you're a little afraid I'm going to make you look at each other and do that, aren't you? I can see it. I'm not going to today, but I will at one point, because I invite you, look around you. Just look around you. You may not like everybody you see in here. You may not know everybody. But everybody in this room is a child of God. As they say in the Deep South, guarantee. God has given me so much, including a woman who gave me life, and really gave me life by letting me go so I could have a life that she could not give me at that time. She'd had me at 25. It might have been a whole different story. We respect, we honor, we love God, and we need to try to find a way to let God put His nature on us and quit putting Him in a little tiny box by expecting Him to be like us, because He's not, thank goodness. But we'd be in real trouble. Because from great love, and sometimes almost in spite of it, comes great forgiveness and great compassion. And we're called to no less in this world. And I am very grateful for Corrine, who gave me that love and has brought that lesson home to roost since I've met her. Amen.